Hey everybody, this is Jason from Jason Berkman Photography, and today we're going to talk about the XH2 and the XT5. Okay, so I don't know if you saw my last video when I talked about the XH2, but I was talking about my case use for it, the reason why I got it, and the reason why I have the other camera. So I had an XT3, I had an XT4, I had an XE3, XE4, and the XH2. So that's 5 cameras that I had, and I had to narrow those. I wasn't using those cameras, so I had to narrow them down to 1 camera. Now, the reason why I got into the Fuji system to begin with was because of the vintage styling of the camera and the way that it made me feel when I picked up the camera. So I knew that it had the mirrorless technology that I had with the Sony cameras that I used to use. And so going from DSLR to Sony was really cool just for the usability of it, being able to see your exposure before you take the picture, all of that stuff. It makes sense. But once I grabbed that XT3, it was like, it just opened up so many doors in here and in here, so many ideas, and it made me want to get out and shoot more because of the aesthetics of the camera, the way it made me feel when I shot with it, the size, just how easy it was to carry around, having the exposure triangle on the outside of the camera, and being able to relate to when I used to run around with a film camera. And so, yeah, the nostalgia, all that stuff. But as a working professional in photography, when I got the XH2, it really made a huge difference in the speed with which I could get from one shoot or one shot or one look to the next. When I go out with a client, just to give you kind of a little bit of a basic idea of what I do all the time, I usually get between 10 and 15 different looks in a day. I mean, I get a bunch of different looks. So I'll go from one look to the next look to the next look. So in a short period of time, so I have to be really, really quick on the draw with my camera. And I use a lot of burst mode with my camera. The XH2 has been really, really great because of the CF Express card. It is so quick. I was kind of missing that feeling that I got when I shot with my XT3, and just seeing my XT3 on the shelf, sitting there doing nothing, was kind of a bummer. I wanted to use it, but I was so used to now at this point having that 40 megapixel sensor that I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna trade in these other cameras and I'm going to get myself an XT5. And I'm really, really glad that I did. But I tried to use it for work and I was missing that CF Express card. I mean, I'm not going to use the shutter, but it would go, and then it would be like, yeah, then I'm sitting there waiting for it to buffer, blah, 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 blah. Try to show it to my client. That took a lot of time out of each shot that I did. It took a lot of time to sit there and wait for it to buffer before I could show my client what we had done. That is not cool. Also, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna get back to this this portrait mode with the screen like this, which is great. I love shooting like this. But since I have had the XH2 for so long, I use it every single day. I've gotten really used to flipping this up like this, boom, and then dropping it like that. So I've been really getting used to shooting like this. So it was counterintuitive for me to shoot this old school way, which really means that, you know, you can really adapt to any camera, obviously. But it was really, I felt like a fish out of water when I brought this on an actual gig with me, because I haven't spent a lot of time, again, with that old school exposure triangle on the top of the camera like I was so used to before with my XT3 and XT4. I'm playing musical cameras. But see, I could just hold it from this point like that, and it's just as effective. I mean, it's not making a huge difference, so I've adapted to this. That's not to say that I don't, every time I see this camera, I don't want to go out and shoot with it. I do. I work so much that I haven't really had an opportunity to go out with this XT5 and shoot with it. Now, if I want to know what the results are going to be, all I have to really do is look at the results of my XH2, because it's the same sensor. not missing any aspect of this camera other than the size, the weight, the exposure triangle, the old school XT3 style of the screen, all that stuff like that I really love to shoot with before. But I've got to tell you, for working professionals, this CF Express card really, really makes a huge difference. I never, ever have to wait for this thing to buffer, ever. It's just boom, boom, boom. Like a machine gun, and it's just constant, and instantly I get to show my client. There are definitely stark differences between these two cameras when it comes to form factor, size, usability, you know, the exposure triangle on the top here, everything DSLR. Everyone's trying to get a hold of me. This has, you know, your exposure triangle is inside, like kind of like it's DSLR-y. Is that a, I guess, can I say that? DSLR-y. This is very DSLR-y, but it's functional. It works really well. I mean, this XH2 is a great camera. Do I love this camera? I love the way that it gets me in my job and out of my job with the best results possible. That's what I love about this camera. Now, the reason why I got the XT5 was because I want two cameras. I want one, my main camera, and another one to be my backup to have the same sensor. Now, my day-to-day backup is this guy right here, the XE4, which I love the XE4, but I wanted two cameras to have that 40 megapixels so that I wasn't missing anything if I needed to go to my backup when it came to resolution. And what determines whether you should get this one or this one is your use case. What are you using it for? The grip, the ergonomics is incredible. I love having the ability to switch modes and stuff like that when it comes to work. I mean, this is a professional camera. It's the same sensor. This is weather sealed just like the XH2 is. If I had my druthers, which I do, I have both. It has the same battery life. This battery lasts forever. The one drawback of it is you cannot get a battery grip for the XT5. I had it for the XT3 and the XT4, made a huge difference. Here's another thing. This battery on both of these, it lasts a long time. I want to get the grip for this, but I don't think I even need it. I mean, this one battery lasts so long. I rarely, if ever, maybe 2 or 3 times out of 100 shoots have I actually switched a battery, and it's towards the end of the shoot, maybe for the last few shots. If you're going to be a working professional and you don't care about the aesthetics of the camera, get the XH2, it's amazing. If you want that vintage style and you don't need a flip out, maybe you're a hybrid shooter, but you really don't care about the flip out screen, or you have an external monitor, then I would get the XT5. Also for the size, it's so small. I mean, this thing is tiny. It does have a pretty robust grip, but if I'm gonna go out and about to have some fun shooting, I'm bringing the XT5 100% of the time. If I'm working, I'm leaving the XT5 at home and I'm bringing the XH2. All right, that's all I have for you. Oh God, don't drop my camera. Just a quick rant about the differences between the XH2 and the XT5. If you like what you saw, then please think about subscribing, hit that notification bell, comment, do all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.